That's how we roll, man. That's how we roll. Okay, the mic is on. Levels look okay. The crowd is cheering. Holy jeez, holy jeez. So, the mysteries of life, of the universe, of everything else. So, guys, I got. It is Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Oh, I want to do an applause. I got to do an applause for Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I got the Grinch. I got the Grinch filled with red wine. My usual half a glass, maybe? Half a glass? 2/3 of a glass. Could be a full glass, actually. I actually started about a half hour before the show, so I was like, it's Christmas. And we're doing Supergirl. And touching on Superman, doing the Gunn-Verse. I spent 20 years in Hollywood. 20 years. And as a screenwriter, to understand when you write a screenplay and how that screenplay goes from screenplay to actually creating audio visual images from that screenplay is a very difficult process. There's nothing, it's not an easy process to do. So when you write a screenplay, you can have the director really screw up a really strong screenplay. Supergirl could have been an amazing screenplay. It doesn't mean that the movie comes looking like crap, or the trailer doesn't, that the screenplay wasn't a good. You never know. You don't know when, the director could have completely screwed up the entire, direction of the screenplay. Might have miscast, might have, not taken the essence of what the character arcs were supposed to be, the internal conflict, the external conflict, all these things. And it turns into movie junk. Now, when the writer is the director, there's no excuses. James Gunn was the writer for Superman, and he was the director for Superman. He was not for Supergirl. He wasn't the writer and director for Supergirl. That was, I forgot his name. But it's surprisingly, the two movies, he was the producer. Producer has all the power, right? The producer is the boss. The producer is the puppet master. So I'm sure that he was directing from, not too high above. Not too high above. Superman, and here's the problem with Superman. So the problem, if you remember Superman, it's been a while since I watched it. But one of the worst, so there's two key relationships with Superman. The first one is Lois Lane. And our first interaction between Superman and Lois Lane was so militant. We hated Lois. She attacked Superman, badgered him, basically said that, he was doing stuff, maybe even killing people. And then Superman had to stand up and say, people were going to die. This is how you want to introduce the Lois relationship with Superman. To Zack Snyder's credit, he made a very compelling relationship with Superman and Lois. That is one of the fulcrums of a Superman movie. Now, if you create friction, I'd say you want to start it good, you create the friction in the middle, and you get a resolution at the end. The other relationship that is key to Superman is the relationship with his mother. Again, Zack Snyder nailed it. Nailed it. And with the charm and charisma of Henry Cavill, it was a beautiful relationship, right? It was a beautiful relationship that Zack Snyder put together. But in Superman with James Gunn, do you remember the parents? Do you remember the parents? The parents were horrible. There is no likability in James Gunn's parents whatsoever. None whatsoever. We didn't care for them. They looked stupid, right? They're actually on the phone. The first time we see his mother, she doesn't know how to use the phone. And she actually is acting like that girl, like, where's the beef? Where's the beef? This was Superman's mother that James Gunn did. The casting of Superman was terrible. It was terrible. I've heard people say it was pretty good. Tell me where the casting was good. Maybe the guy that played Superman wasn't bad. Green Lantern. And so you can start right off at the inciting incident. Superman just saves the world, right? The 300-pound marshmallow guy. As he saves the world, we get the big screen trying to convince us that Superman is a terrible person. In 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds after Superman just saves the world is now convinced he's a terrible monster because he has a super harem or something like that. And he has to give himself in because of a super harem. And so because he has a super harem, he has to give himself in. Or because his parents said, go take over the world, son. I'm still confused. Why did he have to? What did he do illegal? Hey, if I could keep a super harem, I probably would. But I'm not Superman. I'm not Superman. The inciting incident was terrible. The plot was making decisions for the character. It was choppy. It was Lego. At the end, Baravia. When Baravia attacked, remember when Baravia attacked? It looked like a really bad B movie. It looked like. I mean, I don't even know what it looked like. It looked so bad. It looked so bad, the end of Superman. And then you're telling me that Lex Luthor can verbally yell out comments to a guy. He can input the comment to make the clone do something faster than Superman can react. I mean, last I checked, Superman can react at near the speed of light. So you want me to believe that Lex Luthor say, B4, B7, is going to beat Superman was such a stupid movie. The only reason it did what it did is because so many people were intrigued. Superman 2 will not get that. I'm not even sure if he's going to be able to get a Superman 2. But Superman, the 2025 was a bad movie. Very bad movie. As a matter of fact, at the end, with they looked like he was fighting Anakin Skywalker. Right. I mean, he had the long hair. Was that a young Anakin Skywalker? Was it? Like, so this whole thing with Supergirl starts with Superman. And Superman was such a deficient movie on so many levels. Anyone that tells me they liked Superman is obviously is not whatsoever concerned about story, structure of story, or a compelling story, or a story that makes sense, because the story was frickin' BS. Superman goes, he gets trapped in the other world, and they just make up plot points, right? They make up the little baby that I think was supposed to be the stand-in for the Yoda baby. And that was supposed to be like a new toy that sells or something. But they needed that plot point because they just threw it in there. And then they had to somehow make Element Man angry. So they just brought a guy who they introduced in the beginning and they killed him in front of Superman. And then, that was convenient because Superman couldn't make any decisions to get out himself. Almost never did Superman make a decision to fix the day. The plot made the decisions for him. When you watch a movie, watch to see if the plot is making the decisions for the character. As a screenwriter, this is the stuff you look for. When you're writing, you go, wait a sec, my character has yet to make a decision. One of the main problems with the whole Superman genre, Superman is a flawed character. From a screenwriting perspective, Superman is a flawed character. And why he's a flawed character is because you always have two elements that come into every single movie. Every single one. Kryptonite. Every single Superman movie is going to have kryptonite. It's not a surprise. So if you're a screenwriter, you're writing the script, you're like, oh, well, you have to ask the studio, can I insert anything else other than kryptonite? Or is the lore that strict? I mean, for the most part, in every Superman movie, the lore has been that strict. Every Superman movie has lost money except the very first one. Every single one. A lot of money, a lot of them. And the second one is, of course, you need an antagonist. So the only thing you could really do is some derivative of Superman, someone from Krypton, someone else. It's all been done. It's all boring. So I remember when they announced Superman 2025, it's like, I bet you they'll do just some sort of a clone. And my God, they actually did. James Gunn actually did a clone. A clone. Because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Superman. Well, I guess maybe next week he can fight his dog or Supergirl's dog. But there's going to be kryptonite. It's a flawed character. That's the problem. So if you're going to create a world build, you don't world build with Superman. He's not a world building character. Batman is a world building character. That's what builds. Shane, yeah, Superman 2025 looked terrible, was it? It was terrible. It was just a terrible story. It was like blocky Lego. What I call from a screenwriting perspective, Lego blocks. It's just block, 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 block. This happens and this happens. Nothing like really is stitched together. Nothing works in a way that where like scenes happen and there's a twist and you're kind of like pulled back. One character you think one way, then a character you think of them as another way. It's yeah, Superman was bad. It was very, but now the question is going to be with Supergirl. Okay, so where is that? I think we want this one, right? Yeah, that's the one we want. And then so there's a few things with this trailer that it kind of I think one of the biggest problems is it feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. There's nothing different. There's nothing different than this trailer. What I'm starting to feel and think now, he might not have directed it or written it, but he produced it. So you know that his input, because he's trying to build a world, was significant from the lore perspective. But let's watch this, and I'll pause it in a couple of places that I think that are worthy of some comments. So I guess one of the things he wants you to take away here, you got a dog walking through a very, very messy apartment, right? That's an obvious takeaway. So he's trying to set up Supergirl, her current condition. So the character arc is a very basic character arc. She is out of her teenage years, 23 years old. And we see a Superman newspaper on the floor. Now, if you watch that, Superman was a nuclear reactor, and then on the far right, you see Supergirl rescues cats. And of course, this says a lot. This little thing, yes, we see Crypto peeing on the paper, but what this says is it establishes the character early on. So this says that Superman is out there saving the world, doing stuff that counts. Supergirl is rescuing cats out of trees. And of course, the idea is, and the simple character arc is, that this is a 23-year-old who is drinking. I'm not sure why alcohol even affects Supergirl, but this is a girl who is drinking, maybe a little out of control. Her apartment's a disaster, but this takeaway is a big one because it says, like I said, Superman is saving the world and Supergirl is saving cats. And and that's a major takeaway in terms of what the character arc for Supergirl is supposed to be.
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time. Good job, buddy.
There's been a lot of talk about Millie Alcock, whether she was a good casting choice. I think she was actually an okay casting choice. She's got a bit of personality. She's got some edge. She was okay in House of the Dragon. I don't think she's going to be a bad choice.
Cars or out. Hereby declare.
I mean, that was basically Guardians of the Galaxy feel, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a James Gunn movie basically now feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. And he's got to get away from that. Whether, his director, his writers or whatnot, they've got to get away from that James Gunn feel or that Guardians of the Galaxy feel. Even the tone, everything with this comes across almost immediately as Guardians of the Galaxy.
The 23 will be the best year yet. let's be honest, babe. It's not a very high bar to clear.
Now, if I was the screenwriter here, if you're Superman or you're Supergirl, the fact that you've got probably a flaming sambuca, I'm not sure what the shot is. Superman or Supergirl don't feel fire, right? They don't feel flame. They don't. The smart thing would have done, why does she blow it out? I mean, you easily could have showed Supergirl's power. Why would Supergirl blow out a flaming shooter? Just let her drink it. It would have suggested, like, it plays into her role. It doesn't make sense to me that Supergirl needs to. If you don't feel the fire, why would you blow it out? I wouldn't. It could have been the bartender came up and asked her a question while she had the drink in her mouth and the flame is like burning her face. I mean, that would have been in keeping with the character, showing, look, fire ain't going to hurt this girl. Even though we know she's Supergirl, we still want to project her power. Something like that projects power very easily. She wouldn't blow it out. Why would she blow it out?
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Her Tom didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind.
So a big theme is, obviously we're not seeing her with her Superman costume. So she is covering up her Superman costume, and that's probably part of the character arc, right? She's going to go through this character arc. She's basically a teenager at 23, trying to deal with alcohol, trying to deal with this. She's a bit of a biatch, bit of a lazy. She's rescuing cats. Superman is rescuing the world. It's an easy character arc. And the fact that she's wearing a trench coat the whole time tells you, and we never see her, and James Gunn will not show you the Superman. It's kind of like Godzilla, right? You don't get to see Godzilla in the trailer. You go to the theater to see Godzilla. It's almost like what he's doing. They're setting up Supergirl in the Supergirl costume as the payoff. It is the point in time where Supergirl goes through her character arc. She becomes something more. I mean, you don't want her to become goody two-shoes at the end of the movie. But so far, we don't really have too much in this trailer that's basically, he's gotten across that she is a bit of a partier. That's it so far.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well.
Now, if I was the screenwriter, I'd stop it there because the next sentence ruins this entire scene. So you got all these guys, just point all of these guns on Supergirl. And she says, it doesn't look like this is going to end well. That's it. Stop it there. Why? Because you want to ask yourself, does she mean for her or for them? I think she means for her, right? Because she's Supergirl? Or do these guys have some sort of a power that they might kick her ass? Or does she know that she's in trouble now? It creates tension. We don't need to know. Show us. Show, don't tell. It's a big thing with movies. But instead, what they do...
For you guys.
Why ruin it? Okay, so now, you know what now happens? We get a fight and we do this. Because the director just told us that she's about to kick everyone's ass. You leave it at this isn't going to end well. This is screenwriting 101. This is what concerns me with Hollywood, with the Gunn-Verse. With this, like what I would almost call, like, and I have screenwriting friends, and this is like Mickey Mouse screenwriting. No one's taken an English creative course or something. But if I would have saw that in the script, I would have said, why are you telling? Just let Supergirl kick everyone's ass. Let everyone think that maybe she might get her ass kicked when she says this isn't going to end well. Okay, let's see what happens. And then she says, for you guys, oh, well, there goes the tension. There goes that. I mean, it's just, even in the trailer, why do you say that in the trailer? It doesn't make any sense. Any tension we could have had is gone. So even if we see half of the fight or like a fraction of the fight, at least we're thinking going into the movie, does she get her ass kicked in that scene? No, we know because she told us, what's going to happen.
house like you?
No, it's a pretty small group of two.
Something tells me this is going to be very almost teenager-based, teenager-esque. That it's going to be directed towards a younger audience. That it's not going to be what fans would expect. Like it's a bratty teenager, acting like a bratty teenager. Superman, I think by default, always has a slightly more mature demographic, whether it's more mature 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40, 50, 60-year-olds, you know. Her brattiness seems to a degree that is probably going to affect the movie. It feels that way. But nothing has spoken and said, I got to see this. Nothing. From a screenwriting perspective, they've just put in cliches and stereotypes and basic stuff. There's nothing exciting.
What's Superman?
Now, Lobo is probably the only thing. And they showed him for a few seconds, but that's smart. They probably should have given him maybe a little bit more of a face, a little bit more. But if there's anything that builds mystery, that builds mystique, that builds a desire is Lobo, right? It's the only thing. The characters he plays, he does a pretty good job. And he seems pretty a good casting for him to play Lobo. So, but that is the one thing that is going to draw people to the movie.
Two.
Yeah.
What's Superman like?
He sees the good in everyone. And I see the truth.
So there's a pretty generic fight at the end. I don't know what would make people... It's not a bad trailer. It's not a bad trailer. The problem is it's not a good trailer. That's the problem. And I mean, there isn't too many takeaways from that. Like, there's not much... You know, maybe it's the first trailer and they have a strategy to give, bits and pieces. I mean, it is a long way off from being released. But one of the worst things to me that I see, the worst thing was when all those guys point the guns and she says that it's not going to turn out good this isn't going to turn out good. It should have just been left there. Now, this is a very basic screenwriting element. Show, don't tell. Do not tell do not have the character tell the audience what's about to happen. I mean, that is the worst thing you can do. You know what? You know what trailer was the worst from that? The Crow. The Crow with, what's his name? Skarsgård. That was one of the worst trailers that basically came right out and said, look, you're a god. I was like, well, if the character is a god, why are we going to go watch it? Because he's just going to go kill everybody and you're basically a god. That was the worst trailer. One of the worst, top 10 worst trailers I've ever seen. But what this shows it is from a screenwriting perspective and from a movie then, the movie ideology is if you have the character before a big fight scene telling you that it's not going to turn out good for you guys. Whether it's playful, whether it doesn't turn out to be true or not, it doesn't matter. All of a sudden, you've got all these guns pointed on Supergirl. And you're like, damn. And she says, well, this isn't going to turn out well. Leave it at that. And all of a sudden, we're left with, does she mean her or for those guys? And then go to the next scene. But in the trailer person and the gun and everyone decides that, well, let's tell the audience what happens by having Supergirl say, for you guys, it's 3 words. It's like three other words you never use in a screenplay. Ever. Are you okay? You'd never use those 3 words. Are you okay? Are you okay? It is the most basic, simplistic, uninspirational way of discovering the condition of a character. Are you okay? Are you okay? Is everyone okay? These are basic screenwriting things, like screenwriting 101. But it is what it is. My overall take of the trailer, well, for me, I'm not expecting much. It's kind of weak. It has a very cliched, stylized, unsurprising feel, unsurprising tone. There's nothing there that's going to shake the world, or it's going to, there's a lot of the times when you have trailers like this, trailers are usually released at an early stage that they create mystery and they create, whoa, what was that? Or what happens next? Or how did that? What was that? There's none of that in here. It's not. I think Millie Alcock looks like she does a pretty good job. But if I was going to say, from what I've seen, I mean, this is a $500 million movie at best. Right, at best. That's I don't know if you applaud that. But that's basically the best. I think the biggest problem with the Gunn-Verse, what he's doing is he's not world building. He hasn't created a world. He's just creating characters and scenarios. Characters and scenarios. He has not created a world. And granted, you know what? You may not like Zack Snyder, but he created tone, feel, and a dark world that felt like something. The Gunn-Verse doesn't feel like anything. It has no tone. There is no. If I was going to start a universe or DC universe, I would easily start with Batman. I mean, you got to start with Batman. Batman is the world builder for DC. Supergirl is not going to do any world building. This looks like a pretentious, bratty little kid. This is probably made to look like for 18 to 29-year-olds, 18 to 25-year-olds. I don't know if there's much super in this girl. Millie Alcock, I think she probably, it's easy to blame the actor. The actor just gets the script, and the actor is directed by the director during a scene. Yes, the actor gets to, create personality and a lot of things that work for a character. But it's, a lot of times good actors are given bad scripts, and if it's a bad script, no good actor can turn it good. But it looks like Millie, given the tone, Millie Alcock's probably not the worst casting choice. She's cute. She did pretty good at House of the Dragon. But this is just an extent. It feels like an extension of Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know. I don't think the gun. If whoever buys, I will bet dollars to donuts. Whoever buys Warner Brothers will end the Gunn-Verse. It's going to be another full reboot. I guarantee you. If it's Paramount that buys the Warner Brothers, I think they will do a full stop. I think James Gunn is trying to put as many projects through as he can right now. But Paramount will probably do a full stop. It'll be another reboot. Whoever buys it's going to be another reboot. Netflix is going to be much more interested in creating TV, episodic content over movie type content. They'll probably be much more strategic in their movie side, but I don't think the Trump administration is going to allow that deal to go through. After my years on Wall Street, I don't think that they would allow that deal to go through. I think Trump will kibosh, or they'll do what Microsoft tried to do with EA Sports. EA, they said, you got to drop this, you got to drop this, you got to drop this, you got to drop this. But if they got to drop some of their big properties like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Dune, if they got to drop those to make the deal happen, Netflix isn't going to want to go ahead with it. So, it's either going to be, if you ask me, David Zaslav is not a dumb guy. He's not a dumb guy. He's got a $5.8 billion breakup fee standing looking at his face. He could do another one with Paramount. It won't be that big. I'm surprised that Netflix did a $5.8 billion breakup fee. That is insane. But I think Zaslav would, I think independent Warner is exactly what the doctor ordered. But I think Trump administration will want to see it in the hands of the Ellisons. I think it's a terrible situation, but it is not what you would want to happen. An independent Warner Brothers. You know what? If Comcast put Universal, separated it, and Universal and Warner Brothers got together in a separate entity, I'd be into that. But would Comcast allow that to happen? That might be a deal. Hey, Zaslav, give me a call. You know, I worked on Wall Street for a lot of years. See if Comcast will break out Universal. Universal Warner gets together, creates an independent third company. Comcast gets a good chunk of it. Good chunk. But it works independently. I'm not sure. I mean, Comcast isn't like this. This is a secondary business for them. That's what I would like to see. Split out Universal. Have Universal and Warner Universal. How does that sound? Warner Universal. Now Comcast might do that because Comcast is splitting out some of its media properties. Comcast might do that. That's what I like to see. Warner Universal. That would be the best case scenario for that. So, but as far as the Gunn-Verse is, the Gunn-Verse probably doesn't have, I don't think the Gunn-Verse has much of a future. Even with, I talked to a lot of, I spent 20 years in Los Angeles. I talked to a lot of my friends in screenwriting, people that are in the business. And no one holds out much hope for the Gunn-Verse in the industry, especially where this is going. I mean, it's really not. I mean, 2 movies and there's going to be no world building. We don't even know what this world is. We won't know what this world is until there's a real Batman. But Batman 2 is coming out, which has nothing to do with the Gunn-Verse. What a stupid move. What a stupid move. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But from a Hollywood perspective, that's, and I guess I worked for many years on Wall Street. I was a market maker on ARCA NYSE, an economic analyst. If Comcast breaks out Universal, like this I could not see anything more powerful as an independent movie studio. And as long as Comcast gets a good chunk of the entity, Warner, in essence, quote unquote, buys Universal. Comcast keeps a nice chunk, maybe a preferred share structure. That could be a deal that could work out really well. That to me is the best case scenario. That's the best case scenario. So, but anyway, guys, I got to keep it short here today because Dimension Zero is the new channel rebrand from the old one. And tomorrow I think we're going to be doing some alien stuff, more aliens, and some Brian Cox. Brian Cox is coming back. So I had a video set up for Thursday and we didn't have enough time. So on tomorrow, going to do some Brian Cox and some aliens. And I got a new video coming out this week on cryo sleep. It's been a little bit behind because of the rebranding of the channel. And again, we are live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:00 Eastern. And we do everything. Sci-fi, movies, history, philosophy. If it's got a little bit to do with this, I'll do it. So, guys, I thank you for hanging out, and I will see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. Cheers.